In 1936, New York's LaGuardia Airport was buzzing with excitement. American Airlines had just introduced the DC-3, a sleek silver bird that could carry passengers coast to coast with only a few stops. People said it was the future. But behind the polished metal and smiling stewardesses, something strange was happening. One foggy morning, a DC-3 left Chicago with 21 passengers. It was supposed to arrive in Los Angeles before sunset. The weather was clear, the crew was experienced, and the route was routine. But hours later, the plane never showed up. Search crews found no wreckage, no distress call, nothing. Whispers started spreading among pilots. Some claimed the flight was seen over Nevada, flying low and fast, chased by a dark military aircraft. Others swore they heard strange radio chatter before it disappeared. Official reports called it an unexplained loss, but those who worked in the control tower that day believed something else. This was the first sign that the skies over America were not as safe as they seemed. For passengers, flying was still an adventure. For airlines, it was a race to dominate the skies. And for someone hidden in the shadows, it was the perfect place to make a plane vanish without a trace. By the late 1930s, airlines like Pan American and TWA were fighting for control of America's skies. Each wanted the fastest planes, the most glamorous routes, and the richest passengers. The DC-3 was the prize everyone wanted to beat, but with fame came danger. One evening, in the hangars of San Francisco Airport, a mechanic found something that didn't belong, a small metal device. Rumors spread quickly through the aviation world. Was it sabotage, industrial spying, or something even darker? Pilots whispered about accidents that weren't accidents at all, brand new aircraft that failed midair. Engines that caught fire for no reason, control wires that mysteriously snapped. Meanwhile, the missing Chicago 2L, a flight from 3 years earlier, was still an open wound. Some believed it had been part of a larger plan, a test run for something big. The airlines kept flying, passengers kept smiling, but those who worked behind the scenes knew someone was playing a dangerous game in the clouds. When World War II began, the U.S. government took control of much of the airline industry. Passenger planes were stripped of luxury seats and filled with soldiers, weapons, and secret cargo. Pilots who once served champagne now flew into war zones. Many never came back. But war brought more than danger, it brought technology. Stronger engines, better navigation, and faster aircraft became standard. After the war, these advancements returned to civilian airlines. Now, planes could fly farther and faster than ever before. Still, the danger didn't disappear. One winter night in 1947, a converted warplane left New York for Miami, carrying business leaders, engineers, and one mysterious metal crate. The manifest didn't list its contents. Somewhere over the Carolinas, the crew reported strange static on the radio. Then silence. The plane vanished. Search teams found debris scattered in a swamp, but the crate was missing. Witnesses claimed military trucks blocked off the area before recovery crews arrived. The official explanation, severe weather. But pilots who flew that route swore the skies had been clear. For the public, the Golden Age was just beginning. But for those in the industry, the truth was clear. The same skies that promised luxury and adventure could also swallow a plane whole, without leaving a trace. In 1958, Pan American Airways unveiled the Boeing 707. It was sleek, powerful, and could cross the Atlantic in hours instead of days. Newspapers called it the magic carpet of the sky. Passengers in tailored suits and elegant dresses sipped champagne as the clouds rolled beneath them. But behind the glamour, engineers were worried. The 707 was new technology, and at high altitudes, even a small failure could mean disaster. On a flight from New York to Paris, a 707 captain reported a strange vibration in the fuselage. Minutes later, every instrument in the cockpit began to flicker. The crew switched to backup systems only to find those failing too. They managed an emergency landing in Newfoundland, but when mechanics examined the plane, they found something alarming. Several control wires had been cleanly cut, not frayed, not worn cut. No one could explain how it happened. Airport security swore no one had touched the aircraft before takeoff. The airline quietly replaced the damaged parts and erased the incident from public records. But pilots started noticing patterns malfunctions on competitive routes, breakdowns just before major business deals, and disappearances that were never solved. The jet age promised speed, but speed wasn't the only thing rising. So was the danger. By the early 1960s, flights from California to Hawaii became the crown jewel of U.S. aviation. Tourists packed the cabins, dreaming of beaches and sunsets. Airlines competed fiercely for these routes, offering luxury meals, live music, and nonstop service over the Pacific. But the Pacific Ocean was no easy crossing. Radar was still basic, and storms could appear without warning. Pilots relied on instinct and experience, knowing that if an engine failed hundreds of miles from land, rescue might never arrive. One night, a flight from San Francisco to Honolulu sent a chilling message: strange lights in formation, moving faster than us. Minutes later, radio contact was lost. When search planes finally reached the area, they found only floating luggage and fuel slicks. The main wreckage was never recovered. Official reports blamed severe turbulence, but the surviving co-pilot rescued from a life raft told a different story in private. He claimed the lights surrounded their plane, then everything went black. For months after, some Hawaii-bound flights carried extra fuel for detours, just in case. Passengers never knew. They were too busy drinking Mai Tais, unaware that above the world's largest ocean, danger could come from the sea or the sky. By the early 1960s, flights from California to Hawaii became the crown jewel of U.S. aviation. Tourists packed the cabins, dreaming of beaches and sunsets. Airlines competed fiercely for these routes, offering luxury meals, live music, and nonstop service over the Pacific. But the Pacific Ocean was no easy crossing. Radar was still basic, and storms could appear without warning. Pilots relied on instinct and experience, knowing that if an engine failed hundreds of miles from land, rescue might never arrive. One night, a flight from San Francisco to Honolulu sent a chilling message: strange lights in formation, moving faster than us. Minutes later, radio contact was lost. When search planes finally reached the area, they found only floating luggage and fuel slicks. The main wreckage was never recovered. Official reports blamed severe turbulence, but the surviving co-pilot rescued from a life raft told a different story in private. He claimed the lights surrounded their plane, then everything went black. For months after, some Hawaii-bound flights carried extra fuel for detours, just in case. Passengers never knew. They were too busy drinking Mai Tais, unaware that above the world's largest ocean, danger could come from the sea or the sky. In 1978, the U.S. government deregulated the airline industry. Overnight, ticket prices dropped, dozens of new airlines appeared, and routes that once belonged to giants like Pan Am and American Airlines were suddenly up for grabs. At first, it felt like a golden deal for passengers' cheap flights, more choices, and brand new destinations. But inside the industry, it was war. Airlines slashed costs to survive. Maintenance crews were told to make it work instead of replacing worn parts. Pilots were pushed to fly through storms to avoid cancellations. One winter, a small startup airline scheduled a New York to Chicago run despite heavy blizzard warnings. The captain protested, but headquarters ordered him to fly. Losing the slot would cost them millions. Hours later, the jet skidded off the icy runway on landing, narrowly missing a fuel truck. The press called it pilot error. Those inside the industry knew the truth. Greed had nearly killed everyone on board. Rival companies spied on each other, bribed mechanics to delay competitor flights, and sometimes sabotaged planes in subtle ways that wouldn't be caught during quick inspections. For passengers, the tickets were cheaper than ever, but in the shadows, the race to dominate the skies had turned into a game where safety was no longer the top priority, and the stakes were life or death.